Hello, everyone. So, if you've been living under a rock for the past 10 years, you probably don't know this, but it's a pretty generalized sentiment for a lot of gamers and other media enjoyers that things used to be a lot better when this particular art form that we enjoy wasn't as corporatized and as profit focused. However, a lot of the leaders of these corporations don't necessarily agree, mostly because they themselves don't play video games, and so they don't really know what the fuck they're talking about. See there? I waited just over 30 seconds so that I could cuss and not immediately get demonetized. Regardless, Mike Ybarra, former Blizzard boss, which isn't really Blizzard anymore. Blizzard's been dead for decades. But former Activision Blizzard boss came out and said that the Oblivion remaster would never hold up and it would never make the amazing numbers that it's making. And it would never be as well received as newer titles. And yet it was. And it becomes clearer and clearer with each passing day that these guys don't know what the hell they're talking about, dude. Like, and I want to talk about not just Mike Ybarra being a moron. I want to talk about a bunch of stuff. Now, in a previous video, I talked about how I, and many others, have been kind of hoping for a Dragon Age Origins remake for a very long time. And this goes for, I'm sure, other titles as well. You know, let me know in the comments, what is the older game that has a really, really good vision that you wish would get remade nowadays? But for me, it's Origins. Dragon Age Origins has really good mechanics. It's not particularly difficult, but once you get to know it, well, not particularly difficult isn't really fair, because a lot of people do struggle with some of the more complex fights. But it does become very enjoyable and very satisfying to create a very powerful character with all of the moving parts of the game. Once you figure everything out and it all comes together and you get your character, it feels good to figure these things out. And I think that a remake of a game like that in a modern engine that doesn't crash every 30 seconds would be really good and would make for, honestly, a better experience than anything we've gotten out of Dragon Age in the past 10 years. Staring at Veilguard with hatred in my eyes. But there's other games. Other games that people have been begging for. Bloodborne is one. People have been asking, begging, on their knees. People have been making their own Bloodborne that they can play on PC. We have the D-Make that can be played in an emulator. I don't actually know. I think that that got taken down with the cease and desist, and I think that there is the emulated version as well. And people really want to play these older games in modern systems, but they can't. And instead, what we get is 5 remakes of The Last of Us before it even, becomes past gen, right? This game came out on the PS3. Within a few months, it had a remaster for the PlayStation 4. Then Last of Us 2 comes out. New remaster for Last of Us 1 for the PlayStation 5. And actually, no. Correction. I forgot that there was another remaster from the PlayStation 4 version to the PlayStation 4 again. So maybe, and the reason I'm bringing all this up and the reason why I'm kind of rambling here at the start is kind of because it's painfully clear. Corporations cannot lead an artistic endeavor. They don't know what they're talking about. They don't know what they're doing. They are, frankly speaking, not the right people for the job. What is the fix? There isn't one, and there doesn't need to be one. Every single year, countless games come out that are AAA and that completely miss the mark. Why do they miss the mark? Because of who is making them. But then, if you look away from AAA games, you get to actually see that, oh, look at that. Indie and AA devs are making amazing games. We've got the Gothic remake that is probably going to come out this year. Lots of people super excited about that. I played Crowned in Steel just a bit ago, which was, for all intents and purposes, just a revamping of Severance. Severance is another game that really would shine with a remake. Keep the gameplay, mostly. Fix up the controls a bit, because I will admit, Severance is awesome. It struggles with controls, right? Like, if Severance could get a remake, that'd be amazing. Um, there's Tainted Grail, Fall of Avalon being made. It's getting closer and closer to the release date. We had Clear Obscure just came out. I think yesterday or the day before or something like that. But all of these games that are being made not by AAA heavily corporatized gaming studios, but by smaller studios that are passion driven. And the more that we invest into those studios, the better it'll be for us. Because the more we invest into those studios, the more those studios can invest into their games. And they will invest into their games, at least for a few years. The problem with corporatization is that it's profitable, incredibly profitable. And we need to understand that these things work as a cycle. Even Steam will eventually no longer be with us. For now, we have Gabe Newell, the Jesus of gaming, for all intents and purposes, and he can hold things together for now. However, once his time comes and he passes on from this mortal coil and goes to the great gaming rig in the sky, we will be left without. And it's very likely that whoever comes and replaces him will take a few years before they start fucking with Steam and start changing things for the worst. But it will happen. The same thing will occur with From Software. The same thing occurred with Blizzard. The same thing will occur with other gaming companies that we all know and love. Someday, Larian will be a shitty AAA company. Someday, in the future, it will happen. CDPR, a company that everybody loved in The Witcher 3. By the time that Cyberpunk came out, it was a really bad game, and people hated them because they were really sketchy at the start with how you couldn't show certain things, you couldn't use this type of weapon, you couldn't do this, you couldn't do that, because at the end of the day, the game was unfinished. Now, it took about 6 months for the game to be updated, and then another year and a half for it to actually be finished, and for it to be in a state that everybody loved it. But it still damaged the reputation of the company. Now, there's other games, we talked about Star Citizen, where this is, I don't believe it. I didn't believe it was a AAA game, but hey, I could be wrong. Apparently, some people were calling me an idiot over that, but hey. That is a game that is, for all intents and purposes, not ever going to get, it's not getting finished. I'm sorry to say, you've been had, you paid your money, you gave them your money, you're never getting it back. Sure, you can enjoy your game, you can enjoy your alpha, but it's never getting finished. And I'm sure I could sit here and talk about 1,000 other examples, but I think you get my point. Okay, guys? Gaming companies don't get it. There's a reason that Activision Blizzard, specifically, moved the Wrath of the Lich King Classic Realms, the expansion that everybody agreed was the end of World of Warcraft Classic, that everybody adored. Everybody loved it. And they moved it from that to Cataclysm because people wanted it. You know what the response was from fucking everybody? Who the fuck is people? Nobody wanted that. Nobody wanted to play Cataclysm. People liked Wrath of the Lich King. That was the one that they wanted. You know how we know that this is the one that they wanted? Because for years, right, the private realms were Vanilla and Wrath of the Lich King. There were a few that were Burning Crusade, a few that were Cataclysm, a few that were MoP, but Not that many. Not that many. Not by comparison. And the ones that were nowhere near as popular. And yet, they did it. Now, keep in mind, they have the numbers. They have the literal numbers in front of them. They can see how many people are playing what. When they announced that change from Wrath to Cataclysm, they could see that people didn't want it, and yet they still did it. Why? Because they don't care. And they don't care because they don't get it. And because they don't get it, and because they don't care, this is never going to change. These people are money people, not games people. Stop listening to them. Mike Ybarra, you're a fucking idiot. All right? You're an incompetent schmuck. You made money and you killed your company's art. Good job. Amazing. Fuck you, dude. Straight up. Fuck you. But, with that being said, let me know what you guys think. Leave a like, subscribe. I'll see you guys next time. Have a good one. Cheers.